Anyway, they're probably going to be quite chatty in this one, maybe. Oh, this is weird, right?
Yeah.
You notice that, well, if it's weird, it's going to be weirder. If that's even a word, who cares? So, the visible and invisible. And then there's a part that is neither, neither. How could you visualize this in an easier way? Plus and minus. This will help you understand it a little better. So, plus, you see plus. You don't see minus. You can feel minus. You can sense it. You can observe it indirectly. But your filters have turned it off. And they've become attuned to you seeing the plus. You see all pluses. So in life, yes, you can be set with a frequency and an outcome predicted on your frequency of how this could be calculated, of how others' frequencies are going to respond to your frequency. And invisibly, they begin to start the motion of punching in to you a certain type of code that unlocks the safe, that allows access. And these codes that allow that access bring forth to bring visible. The unseen becomes seen, and with the seen, it unlocks again into your minds, which then recodes back into your mind because you're physical. So the unseen is calculated. Make something along these lines, incarnate. The other frequencies around based on these calculations, think of a computer, and it starts to punch into you, which is a combination, a certain series of events that are calculated. If it goes like this, doosh, 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 it punches in this. Again, think of you being built with a calendar, the Mayan calendar, but think of it as a frequency attunement tool. But when an event happens, it turns a gear. Something else will then happen, it turns another gear. It keeps on turning these nodes. At the end, we can see this as north, east, south, west, yes?
Yeah.
And you can also see it as the individual splices in between those nodes, yes? Reconfigure it and make it as frequencies. Locks, vaults. Each one of these aligns in a certain frequency versus an event that does something in the unseen. The seen does something in the unseen. The reality does something in quantum that adjusts a node. Puts something into an alignment, then it moves on to another, an event happens. It aligns this sequence, this sequence, this sequence, and this, and followed by this until you get to the final locking chamber, which then moves the overall access to the pyramid within, if you want to call it that. This unlocks a lot of a vault, something cracks open. When it does, it's self-fulfilling because it's a prophecy. This brings in information that can be translated and given, that you will then see it, experience it, feel it, sense it, fear it, love it, hate it. You can't label it. You'll only ever be able to keep coming up with multiple labels and all or none or all, or us or you, or is it you or is it us type of, is it or isn't it? Those are remnants, fingerprints, that. Either or, when we sit there trying to identify the outer semantics, and it doesn't matter how you do it, or you do or you don't, and you want to question why, how, this, you miss what is coming through. And then it becomes a choice of look at it as guidance, as betterment, as a way to be. And eventually, while people are distracted on looking at the mechanism, some others are looking at the middle, the point. And they can take this, and this piece of this knowledge adjusts theirs. They're able to do something with this. They're able to utilize this to maneuver forwards, unlocks the mind. The mind's unlocked. When the mind's unlocked, lots of good things happen. Now, stars are very fascinating. Everyone looks at stars and thinks, look at all of this. But you're seeing it in the visible only. You're only seeing the visible. What you are not seeing is the invisible. What's the invisible? Well, it's taken a piece of physical hydrogen and it's taken a piece of invisible hydrogen and it's slamming these together to give you something new. The hydrogen itself doesn't make helium. It's taken a piece of invisible and a piece of visible, a piece of quantum and a piece of physical. And it is slamming these both together and then creating something new. Your minds do it. You take what you see visible and the invisible piece in you combines these two together. And then you throw out, create something that wasn't seen, something that wasn't known. That is the helping hand. So, do you want to be light? Is asking the question, do you want to be physical then? Or it could be the invisible. Either or, either or. Do you want to be darkness? Basically, do I want to be a plus or do I want to be a minus? No, I want to be exactly where I am, in the middle. Because being in the middle allows you to take one, allows you to take the other, and it allows you to combine them. And it allows you to create the third mechanism, the new thing. Trees. You look at them and think, they must get all of their nutrients from here. Yes, because you can't see the invisible. We're opening it up now. The invisible being a particle that comes and it grabs it and combines it to what it is, which then allows it to grow. If you could weigh a planet, each year that goes by and plants are grabbing more and more of this, they're combining it. Planets on the nanoscale then begin to get heavier and heavier and heavier. It's an interesting thing. You never know, it could be this force that also causes instability in the star eventually. The star isn't just all physical, banging two lumps of physical together. No. It's taking what you can't see until you see what you can't see and make it visible. And you take the visible and also make it, trying to make something that's along those lines that can see something that's not there. But it is there, but to you it appears like it's not there. Let's zoom in on you. On an arm. Yeah, let's look at an arm. Looks all matter, doesn't it? What is it? Zoom in. There's a visible structure, followed by an invisible structure, followed by a visible structure, invisible structure, visible structure, invisible structure. Do you see how you're woven together by the same fabric? And you are the piece in the middle. But want to claim one to the other. Let's take it like this. We take two groups. One side is one way, one side is another way. Both of them have dark and light within them. Combine them. That becomes a force. When you combine it, You don't want to be one or the other. That's maddening to even... Can you even create life off of just physical?
No.
Can you create life off of the invisible?
No. You need both.
You need both.
You
You need a plus and a minus. Combined into one format.
Yeah.
Temporarily, that structure is temporal. When we say the body is a tool, these will begin to let go. There is a third, the medium, the essence that governs both of these forces. The bit in the middle is what you would call God. God meaning divine, collected, spirituality, all of it. Doesn't matter. Label it whatever you feel, whatever makes you feel good. It's even nothing and it is something. It's whatever you want it to be. That can be just as good. But remember, when you believe in nothing and you get nothing, then you won't be disappointed. When we go through life, and let's say we begin to shut out the quantum and we make humans more physical. And let's say we've got gentry, hierarchy and everything else, that we don't mess with you muggles. Oof. Whether it's true or not, okay? Let's just hypothetically assume that it is true.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it is, and I'm not saying that it isn't. And I'm not saying that everybody that is higher order in this sort of stuff is got the same mindset, or they're not capable of change. That's bullshit. I believe that people are capable of changing, growing, and yes, that's all capable. Now, it's not everybody, but again, who truly is ordering who? Then it makes you pose a question. What is their incentive, their outcome, their agenda? That's the question. Now, it gets a little fascinating, this one. So, if you teach 80% of the population, yes?
Yeah.
To dumb themselves down, to become physical, mainly all here, all in this, all within this, 80% are in this, man, these pens do not last very long. Gee me. Not complaining, just making an observation. Okay, that's probably not going to show up on there, but it's for my benefit anyway. So 80% of the population become this physical vessel. All in the physical, no quantum, at least, very least quantum. The only time they ever dive into quantum and it feels like such a scary time is during grief. Maybe they sort of go into that, and it's called grief. You are in grief, which then puts fear, which then creates, anytime they go in the mind, it makes them think about the quantum then is associated with death then makes them fearful, painful, and then they run back to the surface. Like little weird, strange dolphins that only ever skim the surface. But only dive down deep enough and see something and then come back up. Oof. A dolphin pretending to be a duck. Then they dive down deep and then they see something and then they come back up again. Oh, that's too scary. The sea. It's right. It's funny because it's true, right? So you have 80% of people acting in this mindset. Slowly but surely over evolution, just like the third eye, just like anything else that's dropped off in evolution, you lost the tail, you lost this, you will begin to diminish your insight to the point where thoughts no longer come. And everybody thinks that it'll be, aha. But if I'm the 20% that are still thinking, then the 80% will be able to follow mine, if only it worked like that. So then you become superior and different things like that. You are the ones with the thoughts, but then this poses a problem. What happens if someone loves someone from the opposite side? You can mess up the whole of the thought mechanism. It always happens. Attraction is attraction. It's nigh on unbeatable at best. The same thing works if you give people bad bugs or viruses or leave them to get all filthy. You know, the misconception. Oh, if they get sick, it's okay. It will never reach me. Or do you want to bet? When you reach a certain level, you all seem to be giving out this. Exactly. Where you all connect. When it turns off in one, it stops being formed. And then you'll think that your children will be separate to the rule. No. How often do hermaphrodites come? Exist. Very, very rarely. And is it predictable per certain family bloodlines, or is it sporadic? In this one, that one, this one, that one, this one, that one. Yeah, everyone focuses on twins. A lot they focus on twins. A hell of a lot that they focus on twins. Close. Hermaphrodites that you truly look at. They're the ones that are truly studied. They are more closest to the essence that is more common in this biome. Will be hermaphrodites. Now, we see it as stars adding a plus to a minus and then calculating something else entirely. Their mass begins to expand. It's not done on gas alone. And they hold this structure together. And most of this, when it explodes, a lot of it scatters, but the rest of it holds in clumps. This is what allows the hardness. Then we look at a black hole. It does the opposite. It likes to pull apart things. So it likes to separate the plus and it likes to separate the minus. Order, balance. One is adding to a minus, but it's a weird mathematics. It's a very strange maths. Where the minus is attracted to the plus under the right conditions. And also under the right conditions, this can also be moved apart. But yet the brain is hardwired not to see it. You're only hardwired to see one part. And then you would say, well, why is that? Why the hell would it have to be like that? Yes, that's a good question, isn't it? That's a real interesting question. Why?
Yeah.
Why? Isn't it? You'll ask that question as to why this? I'll just flirt with that and be a little bit flirtatious with it, and then I'm going to just leave it. But the plus and the minus is fascinating. That is beautiful. And it shows that it's everywhere. It's porous. Everything is porous with this, in this sense. What could you do if you could create that? Make the plus attracted to the minus under the right conditions. And then how far can you go with that? What is required around that? Well, you can work this out pretty easy. Well, that's a fascinating thing. I find that incredibly fascinating, to be honest. And even when you look in on yourself, and even when you look at yourself in another way of where does all of this thought come from? And what is this thought process? If you didn't have it, if you didn't have it, these have it, but it's limited. It's limited to sticks and grass. But they're not there to save the world. But they could. They could. They fly. You can't. But you can run, they cannot. You have better developed minds, but they can fly, but you can't. You can't physically fly, but you could. Because you have a brain that says, what happens if I act like a bird? Dress up like a bird, get enough stuff like a... Then after all, you can fly. They're not there to save the world, although they have as much potential to do so if they were given the same opportunities. So we look at it as ants. When we understand that you can shrink a lot of life forms down, and it's funny because you see yourself there. So we understand ants. And we see that they are so widespread. If we were to ever count all of the ants, how many do you think there would be? Do you think they'd outnumber humans? In population of all ants, if you could catalogue all ants, wouldn't that be amazing if you had a piece of technology that was a satellite that wasn't mapping land mass, but mapping ants? You worked out their signatures, their heat prints, told the computer or the computer, don't want this data, I just want this data. But I want this data individually, one per one per one. All right, then, it will go and have a look at that. And then how many ants do you have mapped out on a planet? Does it exceed what humans are? That's the whole thing of shrinking the life. Now, shrinking the life forms means that, does it mean that they can also be stretched at will to become bigger? Does it mean that if they do become stretched and evolve, do they have mind? Can they have a mind that was equal to yours? Slightly different mechanisms that they will have, slight different communication, but nonetheless, where they become the ones that are chosen to lift up all life forms, including themselves. And then when we look at life on the planet, we see that some of it is highly already trained to cope with space. They're just waiting for their turn. How do you not know that they didn't already get their turn on another planet? Wouldn't that be weird to happen across another planet that was almost as identical to Earth? Almost, just so almost. But it was being ruled by birds. It was being ruled by dolphin creatures. It was being ruled by bats. Everything exactly the same. And then, hold on, there's humans in there. Dumb, mute, acting autopilot, operating in an autopilot. How most of the population is acting now, but amplify it. You see, when people work out this structure, it then looks, how will you abuse it? Are you going to do good with it? Or are you going to exploit it? And then how are you going to exploit that? In what way are you going to exploit it? For your own gain or for the gain of moving populations from disaster? Then it becomes the next choice. Should those reins belong in your hands? And what happens? Question. Which it's not needing an answer because you can program this. If those reins were placed into another's hands, how would they steer it? Then it comes a question of who would steer it better, because it gives you an option. That or this. I don't like to say individual hands because I hate that. There is more than enough for everybody to hold on to it. The reins are an illusion that it means that you need one person to steer. But yet, if you made the mechanism so you could place Santa's sleigh in his hands where he's holding it, but yet there was also another one beside, off of the same reins, could that person beside, when he had a momentary lapse of something, could you steer it? Could you steer it? Make tighter turns, maybe. But even still, one can do the other. And then, where does that stop? How many hands can that be put in? Because you see, if you take it this way from the Earth perspective, that's one thing. Take it from a space perspective, where you have robotics, where you have free will, the highest free will that you'll ever experience, where whatever you want, you can get. By that point, you would already have the resources rolling in. No one would need to ask. You just go up to this supermarket, space supermarket. How much can I have? How much do you want? More than enough resources within this to give every single person abundance. That's it. That's where you hit it. But the question is, what are you going to do with this abundance? Which then you could have it safeguarded, this supermarket, with a computer. Think it, if technology moves that far, or speak it. If you know how to draw it, draw it. If you know how to write it, write it. Either or, all of this data gets fed into the database. That's what I want it for. And just like that, the doors open. All of what you need comes out for you to get on with building something that A, may have never been seen. B, could be very beneficial to everybody. What else would you create? Some artwork for people to fill in their modules? Well, that's very good. What about another type of module that does something that then goes on to support the whole of humanity long after you are gone? Maybe it serves for the next 1,000 years, maybe it serves for the next 100,000 years, and maybe, and just maybe, it comes into existence that supports life all the way through. Mm-hmm. And if it recycles, if you get that far, it lasts beyond that. Then it lasts into another cycle. Wow, now you're really supported. How many generations have flown since then? That is very interesting. These have an abundance for resources for doing this capability. Here on the Earth, you are limited, very limited, unless you start bringing in these resources to become unlimited. Working your quantum, which is almost destroyed, working your quantum with your physical. At the moment, you're limited to what you have on the Earth. So that's a bubble. Mm-hmm. You're in a bubble. You're in a bubble, a mind bubble, a chain, a locking chamber. Yeah. You're in it. That's it. Limited to X to Z. Well, maybe we could say A to Z. There we are. So you're limited to all what is known in this knowing bubble. That's it. What's outside of that bubble? Well, you don't know. Why? Because if you've never gone, you've never grabbed, you've never got. And then there's this whole other bubble. And this is in the solar system, not space. This is just in your back garden. Mm-hmm. This much, with a big question mark, because it remains unknown. Therefore, this is your mindset. Caged, limited, even the most highest in society, keep climbing. That is your limit. Here is your ceiling. That's it. That's all you know. That's all you got. And that's not everything. That's all within your bubble, in your neat little category, because it's easy to manage. Nothing else outside of that would be scary, right? Well, anything outside of that would be scary. Anything inside, you know it really well. You've mapped it. To the point it must be getting very boring. Very dated. But there's another bubble of mystery, of capability. And then when you unlock this, it's going to take some time to think about it. But yeah, everybody's been dumbed down. What are they going to do? Oh my God, shit. Huh, I haven't got my car or my job or my safety blanket. Please, someone pass me a pacifier. When all of this knowledge starts to come in, and it will, by the abundance, that is just one, that's in your solar system. And then when you do things and the star pops, that's another bubble entirely. Then you make it to another star system, that's an even bigger bubble. Then you make it to multiple star systems. Do you see how the bubble is growing? But what you're doing is updating your mind with physical data, which then gives the quantum more to play with, which then means more to build, more to create, more to survive, more survival opportunities, more directions, more possibilities, more jobs, more work, more creativity. Expanding that bubble doesn't come from being closed off inside. One restricted, controlled mechanism that keeps everything in, because the fear of losing, the fear But what are you losing when you are gaining more? What is being lost? The numbers don't work with robotics. Trial and error. Ha! I hope you don't test that one. It doesn't work with robotics. It doesn't work if 1%. When the numbers go beyond a certain level,
Yeah.
they plummet and they dip.
Uh-huh.
You see, Life Charter, right? It's not been around long enough to see it, but it rises up and it appears to be growing and growing and growing, and then grow. Then, can you imagine this? Right? I don't know. There's a war. Something happens. You're moving into an unstable environment, right?
Yeah.
No one needs to do anything apart from pop a vial of bacteria, one that's highly charged up in a nuclear environment, an atomic environment, either or radioactive environment, and it spreads. If everyone's wiped out by a nuclear 3 war, whatever, World War 3 and whatever, and all this shit comes raining down. You don't think it's going to mutate shit? You don't think it's going to do something? It's going to trigger something.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And because it's unknown, it comes out. You haven't counted for it, and your systems have no idea. You see, it escapes past the system. You only know what you are looking for because of what that database has been filled in. If anything moves outside of that, which is in the constructs which you play off as normal, or your instruments haven't been trained to look for it, do you see how it slips past you? It's invisible. You only find it afterwards. By then, how much damage, how much exposure, and then is it too late? Then your whole civilization is completely wiped out of one stupid move. Then that's it. That's done. That's over. Game over. Now I'm going to ask you, if you were in the divine, would you collect life forms that did that?
No.
No, they'd be archived. There you are. Fuck that. That did not work, obviously, through their own choices.
Yeah.
Because you became physical. Because you became the plus. The plus is everything, right? The plus is you. The plus... Let's keep living in the plus. Yes, because if we keep living in the plus and we ignore the invisible because it scares us or because we want control because we know better than it, what do you think happens? You stop. You melt down. You slow down. The knowledge stops. The dreaming stops. When the dreaming stops, the knowing, the expansion, and then that shuts down. Then what are you? Nothing more than animals. Pretending to be human. Pretending to have gifts. Nothing more than animals. And then what would have been the point in unlocking you? Where most things want to push past that envelope of growth, don't they?
Yeah.
So when new knowledge comes in, new resources come in, you begin to fill up the database. Ain't no good being clueless though, is it? And if I had to bet it, a plus that's been taught in plus structures is not going to excel with minus concepts. I think minus concepts are going to be the ones that know what to do with that. And is it the individual? Partly. It's a process of the individual. Is it the outside environment? Yes. Is it the internal environment? Yes. Is it that person? Yes. Is it also another hand that comes through you? Yes, because unity creates success. That's what it does. Because you can work with this. What does that test you out for? Does that mean that you're ready for it? Well, of course you are. If you're working with it now, under this, under the unknown, under the trust, under the just follow it, then of course you are ready. You are more than ready. Why? Because you are allowing it. You're putting in your bit, they're putting in their bit, the universe is putting in its bit, the knowledge archive is putting in its bit, and you are taking the unknown, plus the known, plus the little bit, you're the medium in the middle, and you squash it together. What do you get? New concept, new life, new betterment, new technology. That's amazing. That is fucking, and that's what we are standing on when we stop it. Here comes one evolution. There we are. Let's put a dam up. Oh, okay then. Then another one rolls over. Now you got 2. Now you got 3. Now you got 4. You see, this is the problem when you go down to suppress people, and you push them down, and you push them down. You think that they are plasticine, and that you can just squish them like dog shit, and it just flattens out. And I'm supposed to better go wipe that off my feet. But you forget that the human nature is a spring, and what you've been pushing. And you so much as let go even a slight bit. Those evolutions that are knocking at the door that have been dammed up, doosh, 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 it'll explode so fast. I don't even think you'll be able to calculate it. That you'll even be able to keep up with it. It will happen so freaking fast. And before you know it, an old way becomes obsolete. The next way becomes obsolete very quickly. The next way becomes obsolete very quickly. And in this process, do you know what happens? These evolutions now start factoring in really fast. Why? Because people have just then learnt something. They haven't seen evolution in leaps and bounds from this point to this point, which was, after all, a very long time, yes? They'll see it like this. Then they will know what they're looking for. Because of the suppression. That's a lot of energy pushed down on there, and that potential builds. The spring gets stronger, bigger and bigger and bigger until that's called a breakthrough. But a breakthrough on a humanity scale is massive, by the way. So rather than waiting for evolution, you become aware. It opens your eyes. This is what creates the pyramid. The explosion ratio of one point of change after another, after another, after another, after another, after another. It hits so fast. It's exhilarating. It releases more endorphins than you'll ever know, and no one will ever go back to that way of being ever again, because it's so toxic, and it breaks the illusion, it breaks the chains, it breaks it open, and a new dawn, if you like, is here. And that's basically what this is all symbology, by the way, but still. The learning grows, this grows, the understanding grows, the resources grow, and when the resources grow, you can do more with it. Reverse it. If some are arguing over small resources, what could you do then if you had multiple abundant resources at your leisure? How many opportunities for the whole world to level up simultaneously?
Yeah.
If we got enough resources here on the Earth, maybe we might imbalance the oxygen a little bit, or perhaps, cool, looking in on the Earth. Oh, what a shoebox. Rather than looking at space and thinking, then make it. You expand it. Expand it into space, the food, the modules, and what happens to that? Could you convert the moon into a greenhouse? Yes. Greenhouse being the operative word because it contains rare earth. At the same time, you're going to need to pop that to get the hydrogen-3 from it, if there is any. Melt that sand. Using what? Magnifying glass? Pretty sure if it works here on the Earth, it's going to work on the moon, and that's lacking of clouds. Train that beam, baby. Train it. Cool, doesn't this feel a little ancient here, guys? Look, I can make a fucking pyramid block. Isn't that amazing? Look how I can sign my name into the rock. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Does it fill in the blocks in your mind? Does it make the invisible become visible? Well, there might be bodies on there. Yeah, I'd expect there is bodies on the moon. And I expect there is dinosaur remnants on the moon as well. Yep. You get hit by a meteorite, not everything goes up outside the Earth and then it all rains back down into the Earth. No, it fucks off to Mars. It fucks off to the moon. This stuff goes each way. It doesn't just crash into one. Gee, me. What do you think you are, Jupiter? You're more brittle. Where do you think bits of Mars went? Mercury. Well, it all went into the sun. Not sure about that. I think it went everywhere. I think it's scattered across everywhere. I wonder where all these little tiny grains of sand are coming from. I wonder too. Sand is abundant. Glass is abundant. greenhouse. But it might explode and shatter and it'll be really fragile. So then lace it with rubber then. But rubber is brittle in a chamber then. Or you have a balloon that inflates. This is all you need to do. If you've got a glass structure all the way in-house, yes? And you've got a fear that it's going to shatter or explode. You don't need to get intricate, although that could help. Let's say if we made loads of triangles into it or whatever else, yes? Because that works as well. Or maybe we make some sort of plexi plate that is elasticated to some degree, but whatever. Or you could just put a valve on it with a box. This valve has a balloon, and when the pressure gets high, it inflates. So it takes the pressure off of the structure, and it puts it into something that is designed to expand. If it pops, you've got another chamber, and then another balloon on top of another chamber, just in case it breaks. You know, you've got to have fail-safes, and it allows it to overpressurize. This balloon is different. It's not like an average balloon that you inflate. Although, remember, if you fill your lungs up with air and it expands to the point where you're almost bursting your freaking lungs, how can you take the pressure off your lungs without exhaling into the air, the environment around you? Well, you can blow into a balloon and inflates. Okay, now the pressure is calming down, it's getting dark, it's getting colder. I need that volume back. You can always maintain pressure in this way. And if the balloon had another pressure valve on top of it that allowed it to go into a box that was capable of taking more pressure than that, with another balloon attached to it that goes inside another box versus another balloon, another box, when this one overinflates because of too much temperature, maybe you leaked out a bit too much water and it's beginning to really push the expansion, anything but break this structure. And the concept is so simple. You don't lose your gases. You don't need to vent it out and collect them later. When you're traveling in space, the last thing you want to do is start venting out gases as you go, because you'll notice then, oh my God, it might be getting a bit cold in here. Shit. Maybe it's getting a bit hot in here. Oh no. Where are we going to put the gas versus where are you going to get the gas from? Therefore, it means you need a supply of gas that goes in when you discharge it. Yes, you can put this back into a barrel. Sure you can. But in a glass structure, that's going to be relying on technology. Yes, the technology is great. Have one where you've got it in this process, but this one becomes a backup in case that stops working. For whatever reason, the more fail-safes you have, the more success you are willing to get to. If you rely on one thing, that's putting one egg or all your eggs in one basket. It would be wiser to not put eggs in baskets, but to give them to everybody who you're walking with. How big is your group? Chances are not everyone is going to fall over at the same time. Chances are one person might fall over, but you still got enough to share if you scrambled it. Sorry, vegans. Just an old saying. Maybe you shouldn't put all your apples in the same basket. It doesn't actually have the same ring to it. I still eat a bruised apple. In fact, they're sweeter. I think they ferment quicker, don't they? When you bruised apples attract wasps.
Yeah, they
I think when they hit the floor and they're all at the bottom, this really attracts wasps.
Yeah.
Because of how sweet it is, and then it starts to ferment. But yeah, you have a lot of fail-safes in this. And again, how quick could you make that glass structure? Yes, sure, the lighting, I know, this much lighting on the moon, and it's not going to be like this. Shit me, you can find nuclear activity in there, and it works much more better in that gas. I'm pretty sure you can make a nuclear engine power station. Not a very big one, quite a small one, compact. Enough to do the job, enough to grow something. Well, then we're going to waste fuel on getting rockets back and forth from there. Well, then slingshot it off the fucking moon then. There must be a way that you can use a slingshot process. Twang, off it goes, by payload. Aim it at the fucking Earth. It's like target practice on the Earth. Well, it doesn't work like that. Maybe it doesn't. Then we can go and suck the gases off of the planet until we find a better way. Man, it would be better if you could find the magnetic field reaches to the moon. Finding a way to charge it up in a north node and hit it towards the south. Well, yeah, anyway, out the box thinking, magnetism is a very fascinating thing. There's a good reason behind it, the combining of all of this stuff. It's interesting. So how small was this solar system in the beginning? And then it's just been rained on by the star. And then where has the star managed to get all of that from when it's lacking the gas? Why is it still puffing up? Why is it still getting bigger? Then it must mean there's empty space inside it, but where's it getting the empty space from? Well, it must be taking it from around it then. And if it's able to discharge this much stuff over a course of time, big ball gets very small. Not the other way around. And humans, same thing, same process. Animals, life forms, everything you're walking on. Empty space with space. Empty space with space. Combined space with no space. Or is it that we can't see what it is? Because the mind has designed you to... Hasn't limited it from your view. No, it challenged you to think. Why would it want to challenge you to think? Why does it want you to enhance your thinking, not diminish it? You know, there are life forms that don't act the way humans do. It's hard for you to get your head around it, but that's just the way it is. They don't see the same way you do. They don't hear the same way you do. They don't feel the same way you do. But they operate on the same baseline. It's kind of like the same behavior. Some go the opposite way to what you do. A lot do. Where it's all about diminishment and compression and limiting life to fuck all in a construct that knows better than the overall power of this universe. And I will say that that's God, and we'll over-label it as that. Yes? It means everything that you can possibly think of a existence after or guiding hand. Call it God. The whole thing, God. And I'm not expecting everybody to get it in the exact way. I'm not criticizing Bibles, governments, or anything else like that. All hypothetical, I did say this. Bibles is a learning process. You learn bit by bit. Stay stagnant. That's when you reach a problem. Become flexible. Yeah. After all, didn't all Bible makers look for prophets? Your whole design came from prophets, which were prophets that built, pyramids? That understood this, mind temples, that really come through, and then from that prophet, you then write something based on this, and this, which updates the story. Resisting and holding on to what's old, sometimes you have to adjust it. There is alignments there, you see it. There are alignments, but it's not quite. Then the next part of the chapter is updated. Then it begins to start making sense. And while you're holding on to the old, that's rigid, resisting. Then when you evolve, after all, the one thing that any higher power would want you to do is evolve. That's clear. That's clear in everything you do and everything that you've done. Shit me, you didn't evolve to make Bibles if you were still writing in stone. Shit, you didn't write into stone if you were still running around in trees. And then where you come from, backwards, you've evolved. It wants you to evolve. Evolve your thoughts. So if other life forms are more centered, which it is, they more centered to not have eyes, not have senses, not be so physical. So they are more quantum than any quantum here. Doesn't mean that they're better, because you're more physical. Therefore, their quantum with your physical, mixed in with your quantum too, amplifies one another, and it creates something that neither side could make on their own. Do you see how coming together really helps? Coming together. Unity. This helps. Do you think that the Egyptians were studying birds for any other reason other than anticipating? How do you fly? That how got evolved. It got advanced. They look at rivers and try and understand. Why do you flow? Why are you running to the ocean? Why do certain magnetic magnetized metals, point and move in a certain direction? Again, the invisible. You can't see it. You can see its effects, though.
Yeah.
You see, having a limited mind in order to give you sight, but it never took away your ability to think. And it relies on you thinking in order to work things out so that you can see the unseen. So a magnet, you can run it across your arm, around you all the way. You cannot feel that.
Yeah.
Then take another one and put it underneath you and run it under, and all my days it is, but you don't feel it, but you feel it in pressure. We find that we have attraction to people and we have repelling to people. It's invisible, right? But you feel it like it's real. You feel it like there's some sort of magnetism connecting your minus to their plus. Doesn't mean that opposites attract. I'm not on about that. There's this sort of, I like to think of it that there's an invisible force between the two of you that pulls both of you to it. Actually, it's an alignment of your plus and minuses that are inside you that make up your structure. That is what pulls you together. Your plus aligns with their negative, and their negative aligns with your plus and negative, and this equals the attraction that's strong. There's also inner alignment as well. It generates something. I've not seen it. It lights up. It really does light up. It creates a field that influences other bands around it. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting thing. Could you imagine if everybody fell in love with one another, real truly, and the chakras aligned? How much more of a magnetic field could you ever generate in that? You'll be generating a magnetic field, but you'll be amplified by it. And we've got all of this mismatch everywhere. So when you become loving what you're doing, when you're out there doing something, grabbing something, and you know that every time you grab something or think of something and you're designing something, you've got it in your mindset that you're doing it for future generations. How much more loving is that? How much more giving? How much more selfless is that? That's not selfish. Selfish in the moment to grab these things and take your time away to do it in order to be selfless. That small act, that small sacrifice pays the way, doesn't it? Paves it, actually. And other life forms have got this. Some haven't. Some are still adjusting to it, that outcome. Some claim to be it and are not it. And there's also that as well. But no, the true ones that do and go for that succeed the most, get the furthest. And then I'd have to ask you, which one would you want in your circle? You know, for me, it's not about money. It's not about fame. It's not about status. I don't know what else there could be. It's not about the human thing. It's about aligning with that. I want to be so aligned with that. Now, whatever that is, God, religious, afterlife, whatever, you know, that's what I want. That's what I want to be a part of. This, yeah, sure, but all of those things that come with that, it just doesn't tickle my fancy. I just don't feel it in my waters. I sort of feel it towards that. But I'm not religious. I'm not spiritual. Yeah, I'm neither of these things. I'm that, whatever that is. It's invisible, right? The guiding force, that is more than anything. I want to be a part of that. That's what I want the most. Because it's longer, it's unity, it's eternal. This is temporal. This is a tool. This is testing. This is figuring out. The training grounds, the development. The same question of, is it there or isn't it? It's probably asking the same question back. Are they trustworthy or are they not? Are they worthy or are they not? You see the same thing, but wrap it around. It's that sort of, are they aligned or are they not? Are they greedy or are they giving? Do they accept it, unity? Do they accept the invisible or do they not? Do they fear it? Do they keep going despite the fear anyway? Do they still keep going despite the pain?
Yeah.
The mind is hardwired to have certain buttons pressed in order to get something kick-started, and it pulls the lever on the engine. You know, turns on the fuel, pops on the sparky over the spark plug, the HT lead, and then it gives it a and then a and then it's expected to go on this journey, but then it just sort of stalls. Yeah. Makes out a little O as well. Ooh. Ooh. And also, ugh.
Yeah. Oh, Daddy. Yeah.
And that's what we are, an engine of that. And it is fair to say we couldn't do it on our own. Isn't it fair to say that?
Yeah.
We can't do this on our own. We need that guidance, whatever that looks like to you. Each one is okay, as long as it's authentic. You can call it your coffee kick. You can call it your caffeine kick. You can call it whatever you want type of kick that unlights that or lights that up in you. Whatever it is, religious, whatever, endorphin rush, exercise if it gets you there, whatever it may be. Whatever unlocks that in you. Whatever turns those frequencies into the right way, which punches in a code into you that then unlocks that. And not everybody needs to walk that path. Don't sweat it if you don't feel it. Your physical is just as important as your quantum. Some people are more in the physical and more in the quantum. That's absolutely fine. The thing is what you do with that information that comes out of that. You may not be very good. You don't need to go off to a mountain and lose yourself or go through pain or whatever it may be. You don't need to. Sit with it. And listen to it. And what's that information talking to you? How does it talk to you? Can you build upon it? If the answer is yes, your path is already illuminated. And then it's looking and thinking, I may not have been able to do all of this without them. And then the other person saying, you know what, I couldn't have done it without them. And then another part of you is like saying, well, I couldn't really do it without this. I couldn't really do it without that. And then reality is like, you know what, I couldn't really do it without the quantum. And the quantum's like, we couldn't really do it without reality. And everyone's in this big disagreement. Fuck, we're a good team, aren't we? Fucking reality's nodding. Quantum's nodding. It's funny because it's true. That's why it's just fascinating. So yeah, not all is as seen, and it doesn't mean that these ones are any better and you're any insignificant. When you evolve into the right sort of ratio, the frequency, you align to it. Everybody aligns to it in their own way. Align to it. You know, that's then when I think that other life forms come and align with you as well. That's when you understand that you can help them, they can help you, and you've trained yourself for it. Hopefully they've trained themselves for it. But again, they might be able to see your intent more clearly without having eyes than you would possibly understand. Again, can they see it how far does that go? What does dolphins see? I mean, it already happens here with dolphins, right? Is it sonar? Have a go with that. That is seeing on a next level seeing. That's like us keeping our third eye. Sending out the right frequency that it builds a picture of a reality. Which one is really true? That's the question. You've got to ask yourself that. If one's producing this and seeing in sonar and different things like that, bats?
Yeah, they have that.
Ultrasonic? No.
I don't know which.
Whatever that is. Maybe it's sonar. I don't really. We're not going to sit there. It's all labelled, but anyway, you get what I mean. The squeaking of a bat. That's seeing. That's seeing very clear, and that's very quick. Speed of sound. Which one sees at the speed of light?
Yeah.
Which one sends out a pulse that sees with light? I mean, even some of these anglerfish, not sure, could generate their own light.
Yeah. And how about whales that can hear for miles and miles if some other whales say something, or maybe other animals as well? They can hear such a long distance.
And then based on that sound, even from long distances, they can tell how big they are, whether they're male or female, the information they are seeing
Yeah.
without actually seeing anything. The way to get past the murkiness in the water, or to get past the fact that we take it for granted. We can see quite far. Maybe dolphins perhaps cannot. Perhaps whales cannot see that far away. But they've learnt to see further than that.
Yeah.
Because a part of them is limited. One part, maybe close range they can see, sure. The only animal that doesn't turn in a direction and look with the eyes. Have you ever noticed that? That they don't utilize the eyes to turn. They don't orientate towards where the sound is coming from.
Yeah.
They keep going on their trajectory whilst hearing the sound. Whereas humans hear something, they look for it.
Yeah.
Again, that's another thing that you've switched off, that looking for it, rather than listening and seeing what builds.
And knowing that it coming from that side or that side, front, back, up, down. And if it's something you're not interested in, you just go on. You don't look.
Imagine your third eye building the structure. Building the scene. But again, once it starts to, it gets put towards the background. And well, what I've been playing with, and it sounds crazy, perhaps I'm going to need some medication or something. It's a load of bollocks. You can choose to push this out. It also comes into your visual perception as well. So what your reality is seeing, it's almost like a controlled hallucination at any time you want it at will, and you can make it go away. Sort of pack it away. But you can still see it, but in two ways of seeing at the same time, of seeing visually as well as seeing internally. And you can make these, the old way of moving from one to the other, when zooming in and out whilst you're going into imagination. Kids do this a lot when they're bored, absolutely shitless. The quantum plays a role. They sit there and they start zooming off into daydream. Into that daydream. And then reality, the sounds, all disappear. Drop down. But actually what happens for me, it's a zone out. You do it when you're sleeping. If you're ever aware of being asleep, and when you go to wake up, and you become to wake it when you're in your waking, you'll hear it. If you become aware before your senses become aware, it's a beautiful thing actually. It's and then you're hearing the reality. You're then in reality. That fizzing is almost like you're ascending to your ears. Like you're following the signal. And then it's like, and then something comes back. Which you'd think it'd go the other way. But the brain starts to become aware of the ears. When you sleep, the brain shuts down the awareness of the ears. It shuts down the awareness of the eyes. But the third eye then activates, becomes more aware of that. Sometimes it's not as strong because you're dreaming less. You're dreaming less and less and less. In fact, humans are now more dreaming in the day. That's something. That's a bit of a weird switch there. So when your senses shut down, it's not just your ears, it's not just your eyes shutting down. You sort of start to become, when you first shut your eyes and there's a little bit of light in the room, the eyes may appear black, so to speak. They're not really. Nothing is truly. And then you begin to become less aware. Then with your ears, you begin to become less aware. Then what you feel becomes less aware. Then if you're hot or cold, that starts to become less aware. It's almost like you become less aware of all of these tools that are connected to you, and the awareness of the mind really does come into focus. But you could say the mind, that's up to you. If it helps you, it's your mind. To me, it's awareness of that without actually being aware of it. But the fact is that this awareness that gets packed away, and then all your senses come up, you're feeling, your heat, is it too hot? Am I hungry? How do I feel today? All of those boats that are like, just piss off and anchor over there for a bit. Got some stuff to do right now. Yeah, you might as well treat them like boats, all of those problems, and why? Oh, you're about to disappear on the horizon? Oh, ta-ta. Anchor over there, will you? You've got shit to do. And then the mind. And then you can push this out into your reality. So to label it as craziness then means that anyone that dreams is crazy, which they're not. To medicate this, then you should have been medicating your population long time ago for dreaming. You must not be dreaming. I've got a tablet for you for that. It's actually called psychosis. It's called something. I'm going to label it something so it makes me feel better. And also a little bit important. Don't forget that. Ego, come on. It's going to massage it every time I give you a pill. Okay, I'm not saying that there isn't mental health problems. No. It's just where they come from. And I'm not Mickey taking mental health problems. What I am is the absurdness of some things that are looked at as mental. And it's not. Some people say that Einstein. I think he probably got labelled a lot. What's with him? He's not normal. Says you floating on water on a piece of fucking metal that technically should sink. Yeah. You've picked the most heaviest object you can find, and guess what? You made it float. Says you that are in an aeroplane flying like a little bird. Says you, says the astronaut that made fucking people go into space. And you want to look at this person here because they're not fucking normal. What about Tesla as well? Fuck, he's insane, you ain't. Fucking hell. Did you hear him the other day? Oh. He was talking about sending energy wireless. Whatever makes you sleep better. Because to admit that you don't know what that person is and their mind, it frightens you. That's what it is. It's fear. Fear labelled as mockery, as... Gotta find a label for it. Quick, pass me the sticky notes. This one. Well, it didn't stick. Yeah, okay, let's think of another one. Okay. I still didn't stick. Shit. Oh no, I'm starting to get scared. It's alright. Try this word here. Alright. How'd you feel? A little bit better. Oh, it fell off. Quickly. Okay, well, let's label it this. You, quick, get over there. Make up some stuff. Make him stop. Over there, her. Look at her. Oh, she's saying things that I don't understand. I think the word you're looking for is, I'm not sure yet, willing to learn? Where'd you get that dictionary from? That ain't one that I know about. Those words don't formulate in there. I think. Nope, it's not in there. Even the word I don't know. I thought that was I don't know about the word I don't know, not about things I don't know. Well, I'd love to learn them though. Willing to learn. Anyway, yeah, I'll just have a little bit of a tease with it. I do apologise, but there we go. Shrink yourself down. Was there an orb go across here just a second ago?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay, all right. So I think I just saw it. That was weird. I think I just saw an orb. That's crazy. Right, it's getting a bit warm in here. Man, does it get so fucking hot. It does and it doesn't. Sometimes it does, sometimes it don't. So, yes, yeah, the invisible and the visible. Not so invisible anymore. And if it really wanted to make it invisible from you, it would have deleted all ways of you being able to know it, but it didn't. It left clues, breadcrumbs to lead you towards, to get you to think, to enhance your thoughts. Because the more enhanced your thoughts become, the more better equipped you are at surviving as species to be able to take what you see outside of you and create it into something new. So that would be pretty weird if people feared what they created. So you give someone a piece of plasticine and they create something from it and everyone's like, oh, what the hell is that? Well, it's a creation. Ooh, can you imagine hunter-gatherers? You know, can you imagine the first humans who were just sort of like walking around not knowing really what they were doing and someone come up to them and ta-da! It's like throwing sticks at it or something, you know? I think you see this with monkeys, right? When you create something in front of them, some of them lose their shit about it.
And some of them
Some
are
of them really get
fascinated,
really strange with
excited,
it. You've seen that,
fascinated.
yeah?
Some of them will look and will do like gestures like humans, and some of them are like screaming and jumping away. Yeah. You see all different reactions.
That's freaking primal, that is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And some of the ones where you do the one where you pretend to disappear as well, that also causes a reaction with them. So, yeah. I'm gonna leave this one right here. No, I'm not. I might. Did I say what I wanted to? Probably not. I didn't even want to go in this direction. It just came. It just came. That's authentic enough. So that would be now 16 things I'm holding on to. Wow, it's a very give and take. It's yes, that boom, 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 and when you feel it, this one evolution followed by another, followed by another, followed by another. The mind's enhanced. It will feel so good that people will never fear it again, and in fact, they will then start looking of how many they can pull towards them, because they'll know that adapting at that ratio fast. Gives you the edge on any other life form. Not because you want to dominate, not because you want to do this or control. It's because you want to keep up with that. You don't want to be the ones that look like the slow ones. Or the ones that are behind, that need teaching. That doesn't really work very well, does it? You want to be up there and be the ones that are teaching too. Have something to contribute.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest effect ever. People are like, what did you decide to do with your life? You're a nobody. You didn't work in my place. And then the universe is looking, going, what did you do with your lives? Oh, I can see what you did. I can see what you did. And then if there was anything else above this sort of understood hierarchy that came by, and you could see it all in its fucking glory, literal glory, not artificial, just the real stuff, you know, with artificials, I'm pretty sure. But, and then they asked the question back down, what did you decide to do with it? Well, all of this. All of what? Oh, that's good. We mapped past that. Hey, but how did you do it? We pressed on pause. Anyway, yeah, I am going to leave this one here. So there we are. We're going to, I think I'm going to start to zone out from that now. Start to keep it in the background. Yeah. Yeah, there it is.